Coming up on this week's edition of the Mindset Podcast, episode 172, we talk about Remembrance Sunday and Veterans Day, the Million Masked March, the Plaza Mall shooter, the LA Meteor, and so much more. Here's the music.
I bid you welcome.
BBC News from BBC World.
This is an NBC News special report.
This is a CBS News special report.
Hello, a very good morning. You're watching BBC News with Carrie Gracie and Simon McCoy.
From ITN News at 10.
Hello, good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, wherever you may be around this wild, wacky, and sometimes disturbing world of ours. This is the Mindset Podcast, episode 172, coming at you. I'm Gareth Davis in Los Angeles, California, and joining me sprinkled throughout the globe, we have an amazing cast of characters. We immediately shoot straight over to Oxfordshire in the UK, and of course, the one, the only, Mr. Ben Emlyn-Jones. Hello, Ben.
Hello, Gareth.
How you doing?
Not bad, mate. Not bad. Get in there, you know. Chill out. Having fun today. It's nice weather, and I'm looking forward to the launch of The People's Voice later, which is David Icke.
Right, yeah.
I'm believe it or not, I'm going to be in the first episode, which is really nice.
No way.
Either the first episode or the second, because I think it's just like an opening show. But I'm going to be on the first one after the opening show, which is really, really cool.
That is awesome, dude. I cannot wait to see
cool.
that.
Yeah, I'm really, really pleased.
Yeah, I will be tuning in for sure to watch David Icke's new TV channel, which I'm hoping, fingers crossed and toes crossed, that it will be spectacular, awesome, and extremely successful.
Yes.
I'm hoping.
I mean, he's taken a big gamble here because, I mean, he's basically, this has never been done in TV before. He's talking about, you know, he's basically bought a massive, he's really, really gone to town on all the equipment. He's bought a full-scale studio, which rivals almost mainstream TV.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
he's to be left. I mean, he's basically blown an awful lot of money on that, and he's really taken a gamble because he's got to now have the sponsorship in order to keep it going. If he doesn't get the sponsorship, the thing will shut down within 2 weeks. Right.
Now, let me ask you this, Ben, before I bring everyone else in. Did you actually go to the studio, or was it like a remote recording?
It was actually a remote recording. It was actually audio only. It's a radio show.
Gotcha. Okay.
What is it? One of the other radio shows I do is going to be move over to the People's Voice as well. So and it's going to be the first program, I think, after the introductory show. That's actually going to be it's actually going to be broadcast, which is really, really pleased. I'm really pleased about that.
That's awesome, dude. So you're going to be on like a major syndicated network broadcast, millions of viewers or listeners all over the planet.
Yeah, I mean,
you must be making a ton of change off this, dude. How much are you getting paid for this?
Nothing. In fact, I mean, the thing is, I think there are 4 people on the payroll at the People's Voice. It really, I mean, this is a big misnomer by the skeptics.
Yeah,
There's massive amounts of money.
I'm kidding. I know. I'm kidding. Right? Yeah. I mean, nobody makes money in this kind of stuff. It's
exactly.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Let's. Speaking of making no money, let's shoot straight over and say hello to Joe Dunn in Florida. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Gareth, that's right, man. I need a raise in my contract here at Mindset Central. I'm not getting any money.
Yeah, no.
I'm just kidding.
You need a raise, dude, big time. So how you doing,
Definitely
man?
not making any money. I'm doing good, man.
Uncomfortable
it's good to be back on the show. You were sick last week.
Yeah, we should mention that. Last week we didn't have a show, unfortunately. Last minute, I kind of said, I can't do this. On Saturday night, I was just feeling like crap. I don't know, I had a stomach virus or something, but for like almost 3 days straight, I was in fucking agonies. My stomach was killing me. And then late Saturday night, I could feel it was all cold. I thought, I'm going to get sick. My stomach is driving me mental. I'm like, I can't get up tomorrow and do this. So I unfortunately had to cancel the show. But I'm okay now, and here we are, ready to go.
And if we missed a show and Garrett's sick, he really is sick. Because trust me, he doesn't like to miss the shows.
Oh no, I want to keep doing it.
So I knew you were. I was like, because on Friday I talked to you, you were feeling it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was like, oh no, he must not not be getting better. So, but it's good to be back here, man. And we got some cool topics today.
We certainly do.
And also, I wanted to mention yesterday I was out hiking about as usual.
Right.
And I went down to. I think I told you on Friday. I actually made it out to that old Unity
Oh yeah.
It's this guy came down here in the 1880s or so. He wanted to start a religion, and he wanted to have his own colony. And so it's like a ghost town you can still go to today. It's still standing.
That's crazy, huh? Someone starting a religion? Who would have thought that? I thought religions just like spontaneously happened when visitations from godly beings happened.
And I talked to the lady because it's a state park now, so it's preserved. So you can still go there and see all the old buildings. The founder's homestead, it's from 1896 or 18 something like that. You can see the bakery, the machine shop. They had their own power.
Yeah,
and it's fascinating. So I walked around all that, and I talked to the historian there, and she was saying about back in that time, everybody had different religions. I mean, everybody was starting religions.
Yeah, it was very profitable. Make some cash.
And apparently this guy was into making money.
Oh, absolutely, of course. I should before I bring in. You're all probably hearing coughing and sneezing in the background because somebody's mute button isn't functioning correctly. But what I should mention is it's very strange how Joe mentions like this is from 1875 or 1860. These old things. Now, for people in the United States, when you find something from the 1800s, that's like finding something from the Jurassic period. It's like finding something that's several million years old because 18-something seems like a very, very long time ago. Now, Ben, maybe you can back me up on this, but in the UK, 1860 is like last fucking week.
Well, compared, Americans often say we've got much longer history.
But you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I know. It's like people say, well, what about the Middle Ages and stuff like that before everyone even heard about America? But I think this is a big misnomer here. This is not misnomer. What's the word? A big falsehood here because it's a false impression of history. I mean, the truth of the matter, I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago when it was Columbus Day, is that America was already well known to many people in elite positions in the West long before Christopher Columbus went there and made it public.
Right, I would agree.
Columbus's voyage was not a voyage of discovery; it was a voyage of publication, of revelation.
Yeah,
basically declassification.
All right.
There was Knights Templar colonies in Nova Scotia and Maine by the 13th century. There was Roman galleys been found there. There's
Vikings,
Egyptian artifacts been found there.
The Vikings.
Yeah.
All that
not.
shit.
It's not everyone. It's finally been acknowledged even publicly now that the Vikings got to parts of Greenland and Canada.
Even the Welsh, dude. Have you heard that story about the ancient Native American language and the Welsh language? How similar it is.
Yes, I mean it's the Mandan Indians were supposed. What it was it was Prince Llewellyn Prince Madog ap Owain was the explorer who headed across what we still call in Wales the Western Ocean, and he never came back. And people thought, well, he must have maybe sunk or something. And but no one knew what happened to him. But they found some Indians called the Mandan tribe who were.
He was over there banging Indians.
Yeah. Well, they were they must have settled down there. Maybe they couldn't get back. Maybe they burnt their ships like Cortez did.
Right.
Maybe they just couldn't get back, or they didn't want to go back for some reason. But they settled in with the local people. And the Mandan Indians are racially they've been wiped out now. But they were racially very different. They had fair skin, fair hair.
I tell you what, Ben, if I was over there, I wouldn't want to go back either.
I know.
Let's
go back to miserable old Wales.
Oh, I know. All that rain and it's bloody depressing. I'd rather stay over there with the Indians.
I think that's what.
I tell you what,
Prince Mad Dog decided to do and all.
Terrible.
Because also, of course, it seems that the Mandan Indians seemed to picked up some that they obviously they had a different language, Welsh and the Indian language, but these languages somehow merged over time because
the biggest revelation though was when Columbus landed and the Indians greeting him. He said, he said hello, and they said, "All right, how's it going, boy?" Let's bring in Trevor, who's been waiting patiently. How you doing, Trevor?
I am okay today. I got the mute button close because I am coughing and hacking and
he's not feeling too good, huh?
I don't know. Last few days I've been coughing, so I've been drinking Buckley's. I don't know if you got that in the States.
What's Buckley's? Is that like an alcoholic?
Buckley's, it's got like it's a Canadian medicine, and it's got like pine tree oil is like the first ingredient, and then it just goes to hell from there. I mean,
pine tree oil.
Stuff it tastes awful. Their advertising is it tastes awful, but it works, and it does.
It does you good.
Oh, so I had to take some of that before here. I got a nice hot cup of coffee beside me here, so
nice.
Try not to. It's pretty bad up here. I'm looking out the window, and It's snowy and
Is it
cloudy.
snowing already?
Yeah, it's just, it's, why I love the mountains, but I'm like every winter, the older I get, I'm like, why? I just want to buy a nice little place down in Vegas.
Yeah, dude, in the heat, 120 degrees.
Drive down to Vegas, live there.
Yeah, man. I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. It's
Yeah,
like me and Joe are listening to you right now thinking you're living on fucking Mars or something. Like another planet.
Yeah, it's pretty cold up here, so we got just I don't know, the weather. I don't like going out now when it's cold, so
Yeah.
I guess I'm a big baby the older I get.
You're getting older, son.
I'll go out if I have to, that's
Yeah.
for sure. But no, I haven't been feeling too well in the last few weeks, so I just, I'll be muting it a little bit more today.
Awesome. All right, guys, let's see what we got going on here now. We have a number of stories that have been rattling around these maniac, retard, stupid news organizations that's pumping out their constant bullshit to the general populace of planet Earth. But one of the main things that kind of happened in this last week was the Million Mask March. Now, this was kind of inspired by V for Vendetta, where at the end of the movie, spoilers, folks, if you haven't seen the movie, at the end of the movie, everyone kind of descends on Parliament in the UK with all their millions of people with their Guy Fawkes masks on, and they overthrow the government and change the world, and everything's wonderful. So something along those lines, without the whole overthrowing government's part, people were going to congregate in major cities of the world. Millions of people were hopefully going to show up and protest with their Guy Fawkes masks on. And this did happen. People did show up and did protest to varying degrees of success. I saw a little bit of this on television, but most of it online. And I have to say, it wasn't just disappointing. It was kind of disgusting to me. And I want to get into that and not only expose my point of view, but talk to everyone else and get everyone else's take on it. But we have a clip here, the Million Mask March on Mask I got to keep saying Mask March on DC and London. So let me just play this clip and then we'll get into it.
Locations around the globe. Guy Fawkes masks are taking part in mass rallies planned by the global protest group Anonymous. The Million Mask March unites those demonstrating against the violation of online privacy, as well as corporate greed and corrupt governments. They have been mostly peaceful, but in London, police have clashed with demonstrators on the city's streets. RT Sarah Firth reports from the British capital.
Trying to push back the protesters in this Million Mask March to let a car get through. There's been a lot of resistance from the protesters who are here. It's all about 1,000 people now on Parliament Square, possibly even more than that. It's been a large police operation, but faced with very, very angry protesters as they try and clear the roads. It's certainly not been the peaceful movement that the protesters said that it would be. Well, rather unexpectedly, the Million Mask March here in London has taken to London streets. They've moved from the Houses of Parliament where they were protesting, and they've walked right down onto the Mall here in London. If you look behind here, they're all walking down towards Buckingham Palace. Well, the Million Mask protesters here in London have ended up outside Buckingham Palace. We've had fireworks going off, some of them even making it across the gates. We've seen clashes break out tonight between police and protesters, and some of the groups splintering off, and as we said, coming all the way down here. Of course, this movement's been taking place in cities around the world tonight, but here in London, protesters ending the evening outside Buckingham Palace. Sarah Firth, RT, London.
Our correspondent Sarah Firth, who you just heard from there, is on the ground for us. You can head to her Twitter feed for all of the developments from the Million Mask March in the British capital. Now, meanwhile, one of the biggest protests is underway in Washington, D.C., where hundreds have marched on Capitol Hill. Activists there are reporting that several arrests have been made. RT's Gana Chichikan has witnessed the rally in the U.S. Capitol.
Here in Washington, you have different protest groups marching under the umbrella of the Anonymous. They protest different things. They protest what they see as a police state. They protest against the persecution of whistleblowers. They protest against Monsanto, the world's biggest producer of genetically modified seeds. So generally speaking, they see themselves as a movement against the government and corporations taking advantage of the people. So we're standing next to the White House. What do you want President Obama to hear?
We want President Obama to hear that 5 years after the financial crisis, the banks being bailed out, we're still suffering, people are still struggling, they're drowning in debt. We live in a country that's fundamentally unfair. We no longer have the rule of law. The NSA to Edward Snowden to Chelsea Manning, all over the world, people are speaking out, whistleblowers are speaking out, regular people are speaking out and saying enough is enough. We want justice, we want it now.
And people ask if a decentralized, masked movement like this can achieve anything other than just making noise. Well, last year they were instrumental in informing people about the CISPA legislation that would provide legal protection to internet giants that funnel private information of their users to government agencies. And now, in light of Edward Snowden's revelations, they demand a drastic overhaul of the NSA.
RT's got a Chichikan for us there. Now, protests have taken off in Canada and France. Elsewhere, Italy, Serbia, Ireland, Sweden, Portugal, Czech Republic, and Norway have all joined in on the global action. Demonstrations are also occurring in Mexico and Japan, as well as Brazil. Also, people are still in the streets and cities across New Zealand, Austria, and the Philippines as well. You can head online to RT.com for live updates and the latest images from rallies all around the world.
So I want to ask Ben first. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I wonder if they managed to get 1 million together. I mean, I'm not sure about that because it was a worldwide event. But I mean, I did see some film footage by our old friend and Trevor Cox's friend, especially Charlie Veach. And to me, it looked like there were quite a small number of people. First of all, secondly, I mean, they were. It seemed all right at first because the people turned up in costumes. There was lots of sort of satire and street theatre. It looked like good fun. Then it descended into a situation where people deliberately try to they deliberately tried to antagonize the police just really for the sake of it. They were calling, there was banners shouting coppers are bastards and stuff like this, which really doesn't achieve anything. It doesn't achieve anything. Then they try to set up a tent in the middle of Trafalgar Square. Now, on one hand, you could say this is something very, and on a sense, I see what they mean. I can understand why they did that. Secondly, but on the other hand, there was an element of, this brings me back to the whole source behind all this. Because, I mean, if you remember the Occupy movement, this really triggered this kind of thing off. The Occupy movement where people moved and put tents down in places. Unfortunately, it turned out later on that there were a lot of very suspicious individuals behind that, like the Wayseers Foundation and other organizations, which are controlled, completely controlled by the Rockefellers, by think tanks, of various types. The Tavistock Institute got involved. They had their dreaming workshops, their social dreaming it was called, which is very sinister and Orwellian.
They infiltrated and took over.
Yeah, and I get the feeling that it was designed to be a safety valve to sort of release a lot of the tension that had been building up in a controlled manner, so that it never did actually did anything progressive. And I can't help being suspicious that this million mask thing was the same. A lot of genuine people got involved in that. I mean, you know, Charlie Veach, I know he gets a lot of criticism. I don't feel any animosity towards him personally. And I think he did went down there with good intentions. A lot of people went there with good intentions. But unfortunately, when you get a riot, I mean, fireworks and things like that. Now, it's possible that the police, if they aim a firework at Buckingham Palace, the police could open fire on them. Because that's...
Is that what happened?
No, but that's one of the things that could have happened. And unfortunately, I think that what that would do, it would, in terms of public perception of it, the government would actually gain a lot of sympathy. The corporations would gain a lot of sympathy, and anyone who challenged them would be sort of like demonized.
Let me bring in Trevor here. Trevor, was there anything like this going on in Canada?
No, I I hadn't even heard of it really. Just a few snippets in the news, but no, in Canada here, there was nothing that I really heard about it. I don't know. I'm not a big protester or anything. I think it's a lot of wasted energy when you could be doing. If you don't like corporations and government, then work amongst your fellow. Find people with like minds and do what you can to take it down in a peaceful way. Basically, it's like a relationship. If you've been beat 37 times, the 38th time, get up and walk away. Just. Yeah. To me, people are like, oh, that's very simplistic. I'm like, well, it is. I mean, when you're in a bad relationship, you walk away unless that person comes and tries to kill you. There are ramifications for it. But this Guy Fawkes, I was into him a few years ago, but I'm like, didn't he try blowing it up? One, because it was the Catholic, and he wanted to replace it with another religion or something. I don't know. There's something about Guy Fawkes that just doesn't really sit well with me. I think, he's just a.
Well, I saw a post this week because November 5th was Guy Fawkes Day in the UK, where it said Guy Fawkes was the only person to enter Parliament with honest intentions, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah.
So, Joe,
I've heard that.
Joe, what's your take on this? Did you see anything on the news or anything happening in Florida?
Well, like what Trevor was saying, I want to address what he was just saying about. He doesn't get the Guy Fawkes thing or whatever, I think it's just a symbolism of it being used. The same with the mask, they're wearing a mask in the march, and then, but as far as on the news, it's like, even though it happened here in D.C., there wasn't much on the news like you would think.
Right.
It wasn't, and what I'm noticing too, Gareth, is it's almost becoming like it's like a parade.
Yeah. No,
it's not a
absolutely.
protest.
I think you're completely correct, Joe.
They cover it like it's like a parade. Oh, look at these! They're wearing a mask. And
right. It's a goof. It's a joke. I want to go back to what Ben said, though, as far as with Charlie Veitch's video. It was a great little video. But I was absolutely disgusted by it, to be honest with you. I was disgusted. The people that showed up, and this is obviously not everyone who showed up, of course not, but a sizable percentage of them that were represented in that video were a bunch of drunken fucking imbeciles. They were all, drunk off their asses, acting like fools, wearing retard costumes, running around the place like it's a fucking carnival. It made me fucking sick.
And we know it's not conspiracy theory anymore that in the early counterculture in the 1960s, the CIA, the FBI, the Rand Corporation, the Tavistock Institute, it infiltrated and controlled a lot of the organizations that everyone at the time thought was genuine, like say the Black Panthers and the Weathermen. They were controlled by the government. And I think we're looking at this again, and maybe in 30 years' time we'll look back and the government will be talking quite openly about how they they brought the Tavistock Institute and these various organisations and common purpose in to control the Occupy and the other protest groups. And
in fact, if your organization gets infiltrated, all that tells you is that you're on the right track. But I mean, they have to infiltrate it. These organizations have to be infiltrated and they have to be controlled, because if they don't, it's the beginning of the end for those in the hierarchical power structure.
I mean, Trevor's made a good point, though. Right? I mean, no one is forcing us to shop at Tesco's. No one is forcing us to eat Monsanto's food.
I disagree.
All right,
we are being forced to do those things.
Well, I mean,
we're doing it. We're doing it through people do it through cultural programming. You are programmed from a very early age to do these things. There's no freedom of choice. There's no. It's everywhere you look. There's an advertisement trying to sell you something, and it's so prevalent that we don't even think about it. It doesn't even enter our mind that a billboard is actually trying to sell us something. It just hits us unconsciously. Unconsciously, these things are bombarding us 24/7. I said this the other day. I don't know if I was talking to Joe Dunn or Joe Ressington about this, but I was saying that I believe that most people are good and most people are stupid, right? But when I say stupid, I don't mean stupid as in, I'm a fucking retard. I mean stupid as in they don't know what's going on. They're clueless. They fixate on trivia. Their lives are like nonsense. But it's not their fault. they're conditioned by culture to behave this way.
Yeah, but and also I wanted to. Trevor brought this up about protesting and a waste of energy. Do you really think this makes a difference?
No, of course not.
And that's kind of how I felt about this. Like, and being that we do think it's kind of a spectacle the way it's being presented, and they're showing up drunk or whatever.
Right. It all it does is it paints the movement in a very bad light.
You know, you brought up something good too about the infiltrating. I never really, it's in the back of my mind and whatnot, but the only thing I can tell you about that is happening in Canada is we've had a problem here for the last maybe about 8 years with it's not a problem, but a lot of people are pushing to have laws to ban burqas and whatnot. One media guy in Canada came out and wore a Batman suit to prove that, I can cover my face and whatnot. So I know the mask, Guy Fawkes mask, that did come up in the Canadian news about wearing masks in Canada, and the cops can take you down. Like if I walked out in the street with a mask on, cops will pull you over and demand ID. So that's the issue in Canada with
and we don't think that we're living in a fucking police state.
This is really topical. What you just. Yeah, no, it really is, Trevor, because we've got exactly the same thing here in Britain right now, because it's really quite something happened, which I find very funny, this story. A terrorist suspect was on, he's on what's called a TPIM, which is terrorist prevention something measure, where he has to wear a tag and he has to have police minders and things like this. Now, he managed to escape from his police minder. Just imagine the soundtrack. Just imagine the score from Some Like It Hot going through your head while I talk about this. He went into the mosque and he managed to cut off his tag with using some kind of tool, power tool. Then he put on a burqa and walked out of the mosque, and the police, he left them behind. It's just
Okay, I say that
hilarious.
I say that story is BS.
I think so too. I think it's been staged. I mean,
exactly.
Guess, you know what the name is, right? You know, the name of this guy is Mohammed Ahmed Mohammed.
Oh, that's a nice name.
Yeah. I think he doesn't exist, quite personally. But the strange thing is, after that, now the call has gone out again, just like you were saying, Trevor. The call has gone out to try and ban the burqa on the public highways, and so that people cannot cover their face. Now,
I think it's ridiculous.
So, in other words, we're having a dress code imposed on a public street, which is fundamentally a very, very serious matter for many, many reasons.
No, I agree. I mean, I think the whole burqa thing is fucking retarded. I mean, chicks got to wear this fucking hood on their head.
Do they wear them there, Gareth?
It's a fucking goof.
Because I've seen them here a few times.
No, I haven't seen any of them over here.
I was walking in a subway or something, and I saw a family come in, and the lady had one on,
like the full deal, dude, where you can just see her eyes.
The full deal.
They're very popular.
No, we don't have.
The husband and kids didn't.
We didn't have none of that shit over here, dude.
So why would a woman still
be at the moment?
Nothing. But
if they're living in the U.S., why are they still forced to wear it here?
Well, they're not forced. This is the point. They're not forced. I mean, they're very, very popular in Britain at the moment, actually. You see them everywhere. And I mean, I live with some Muslim guys from the Sudan, and they say there's more women wearing burqas in Britain than wear them in Sudan. And the thing about it is, the burqa is actually nothing to do with Islam. It was invented in Iraq in the 16th century by the Caliph of Baghdad. And it was actually a symbol of nobility. Only the most noble people would wear a burqa. And originally it was intended for both genders, actually. Men and women could wear them. It's the only places where it's actually compulsory is in Saudi Arabia, this Muslim theocracy and key ally of the West.
I know.
Yeah, in fact, a woman can suffer severe corporal punishment.
Oh, it's so retarded, dude.
She's caught not wearing one.
It's a fucking goof. But my take
but I think in Canada, the Canadian government is using it because we're a very socialistic country here, and I think they're using this as just more police force into your life, more police presence.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I think the burqa is fucking a retard fest, if someone wants to wear it, they should be allowed to wear it. End of fucking story.
It's what they want to do is they basically want, as Trevor was saying, they want more and more control, and they want public support for it. They need public support for it. And this is how they're doing it. Unfortunately, they've been polled, and 80% of people, it's just really frustrating, are saying, "No, we want it banned. We want it banned from public street. We want legislation imposing a dress code on public highways which forbids you from wearing this burqa without people even thinking about the implications of such a law.
Unbelievable. Yeah, because it'll spiral. It'll go, well, it'll go beyond burqas. Like Trevor was saying, you can't wear a mask. You can't wear, not that, you want, but if for some reason, well, what about like one of these ski masks? Let's just say on one day up in Trevor's part of the world, it's absolutely fucking freezing. And you go out there and you put a ski mask on. Blue! You're going to get pulled over?
Yeah. I walk into the 7-Eleven with a balaclava on and...
So what's up with that? That's fucking
What's the difference between that? You're covering your...
Right. You're freezing your ass off, so you put one of these things on your fucking face so you don't get all frostbitten, and the cops are going to bust your balls about it.
I mean, they're going to have to, because when it comes to if it ever comes to a law, they're going to have to actually define what a burqa is, and they're going to have the legal definition. It will probably be something which covers the whole body apart from the eyes and hands, which is any garment. In other words, what many people wear on a cold winter's day. I mean, a lot of people in this country wear balaclavas and scarves over their face. Right. They wrap the scarf around the lower half of their face with a woolly hat on top. I do this myself. I'll be damned if I'm going to freeze my nose and lips off
totally
on a cold winter's day.
Well, you know what they should do, dude, is that if they do succeed in banning the burqa, they should immediately ban full-face motorcycle helmets.
Yeah.
Immediately.
And then people can smash their face in on the roads.
Right, so that nobody should be allowed to wear a full-face motorcycle helmet because you can't see your face. So let's ban all those two. There you go. Yeah. Boom.
And I'll tell you another myth about it, right? I mean, there's a myth about it somehow being an issue of women's rights, and it is actually when it comes to Saudi Arabia. But unfortunately, Western governments like Saudi Arabia. They don't care that they have these horrible oppressive rules against women. But women outside Saudi Arabia wear it because they choose to, and in fact, France actually did ban it. There's a law in France where they've actually banned it, and 1 million women, I think, went on the streets to protest against it. I mean, they didn't want the government patronising them.
You
they
can't
said, we've chosen to wear this damn thing.
Exactly.
Don't you dare tell us we can't wear it.
As long as it's optional.
Let's do this job.
Oh, what happened there? As long as it's optional. As long as some chick chooses, like, oh, you know what? I want to wear this, or I don't want to wear it. I got no problem with it. I got zero issues with them putting that fucking sheet on their head. Right? I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Apart from in these brutal Stone Age regimes that are backed up by Western money,
right,
i.e. Saudi Arabia primarily.
It's the second the government says you have to wear these things or you cannot wear these things, I got an issue.
Yeah. Well, they're going to say you can't wear these masks.
Yeah.
At the protest, and they'll arrest you.
And that's the problem in Canada. So.
Wow.
But I mean, it's funny, right? Because I mean, it's true. I mean, we've asked, a lot of women have asked. I mean, I've asked my people, Muslims myself, and very, very few people actually do this, including ask Muslim women about it, asking Muslims about it, and they say, no, the woman chooses to wear it. It's a choice. In a sense, it's a fashion. It's a fashion. It's
well,
simply,
it is. It's like. It's like what we said earlier, though.
It's like leg warmers or miniskirts. it's simply a fashion.
Well, and it is a choice.
Voluntarily.
Right? I agree with you, Ben. It is a choice, but it's also a cultural choice. Like we mentioned earlier about buying Monsanto and shopping at Tesco or whatever the case may be. Yeah, it is a choice, but it's a culturally conditioned choice.
Perhaps, but then you could say the same about my clothes, the clothes that I wear. I mean, in a sense, the clothes I wear I have a T-shirt on. I wear a hat on my head. In a sense, these are
you wear a hat on your head.
Clothes.
You wear a hat on your head. How come you don't put it on your foot, dude? Why you put a hat on your head?
Well, exactly. Where else would you wear a hat? Well, I have to, otherwise I get sunburn or freezing cold on me because I've got no hair. Right. I'm like Alex. But I mean, the thing about it is, I mean, in a sense, all of us have this. I mean, my clothes are culturally specific.
Sure. Yeah, I would agree.
And I think everyone is in this position. I mean, I could choose to wear something else. I could choose to wear a burqa if I wanted. Actually, do you think it would suit me?
I don't know.
I think it would, Ben.
I
think you should do a video with doing one.
You should do that, dude. You should put one. Dude, what a fucking great idea for a video. You put a burqa on and you walk around the streets with someone filming you interacting with people and see what happens. See what ensues. That would be awesome.
Yeah, exactly. That would be fun actually, because you wouldn't be able to see my face at all.
Because they think you were.
Yes, Ben, it does suit you.
They think you were a chick, right? They think you were a woman.
I'm 6'2", and I'm sort of like. I'd be a pretty tough woman.
But you can't tell, dude. With that fucking hood on, you can't tell who's under there.
Yeah.
Could be anyone. Could be an alien. You know. All right. Well, anyway, so apparently our old pal from last week's show, Russell Brand, mentioned the Million Man March also, and I have a little clip here which I would like to play.
Can we go, yeah? Hey, yo, Bran, put on your mask and let's do this job.
Man, I'm ready to go, mate.
Yeah?
Let's go, yeah.
You marching, man.
Yeah. Let's go, yeah.
Well, as you can tell, that was highly intelligible, and we understood everything that was said there and the context. Joe, help me out here.
That was actually raw footage of Russell Brand at the march, Million Mask March, and it shows like him putting the mask on, and the guy's like, "Are you ready to go?" And he's like, "Yeah, mate." If you hear it right there,
so he put the Guy Fawkes mask on.
Yeah, he puts it on and he's walking in the march, but everybody's of course standing around him trying to get a photo op with him.
Yeah,
you know, and that's what that clip is. I found that online.
Well, with the mask, I mean, how would you know it was? Well, I guess you might know it was him.
Well, no, he didn't have. See, he had the mask pulled up when they were taking the photos with them. And that's why you see the video. They're like, "Oh, you ready to go?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then he slides the mask down, and they start walking.
Yeah. All right.
I've got a feeling I'd recognise Russell Brand even if he didn't have a mask on. I think personally, I'd recognise Russell Brand if he was in a burqa.
Yeah. This tall, skinny burqa.
You could hear him from a mile away. You know.
Yeah. Are you still friends with Russell Brand, Trevor?
No. No, Russell Brand, I look at him, I think he's where I was at about in 2007. You know, just learning about libertarian and like I liked Guy Fawkes back then. All these ideas, you know, I still thought a little bit of government's good, and I think that's where he's at. Yeah. He's exactly where I was at, like 6 years ago.
Yeah, he's not going to go.
And he's going to come around. Like, I mean, people. No, he's not going to go.
He's not going to go full anarchy, dude. There's no way.
I don't think he will.
No.
He doesn't.
There's no way.
The hell, a guy could sit in his house for the rest of his life. He's got tons of money. Jerk. He got nothing.
Because he could sit in his house and live in a different room every day and never get to never use the same room twice, couldn't he?
Yeah. I think he's, you know, I admire him for trying. He's certainly, like I used to, I'm sure everyone's heard of Ron Paul. I was big into Ron Paul in 2007. And I think that's kind of like where Russell Brand, he'd probably be like, that Ron Paul guy, he's awesome. As for now, I'm like, oh, he's just another...
you know what's weird?
Just another player in the game.
I've never been into political leaders. Every political leader I've seen or thought about is usually a fucking retard, imbecile, con man, thief.
Well, of course, Gareth. The political system we have in this world is designed to actually populate itself with those kinds of personnel.
Yeah, I've never seen.
That's the point.
I've never seen a politician where I'm like, yeah, man, I like this guy. He's talking the truth. Never. Every time I see him, I always think, look at this fucking idiot. What is this retard, stupid, fucking thieving piece of shit? You know? Always. My whole life, I've always felt like that.
I think Ron Paul maybe he was like what you're talking about, Gareth. He's one of these people who's infiltrating. And
Ron Paul is a valve, a steam release valve. That's what Ron Paul is. Yeah. He lets steam off.
I mean, Ron Paul has a very, very different idea to Brand. I mean, Ron Paul's something of a sort of like a right-wing libertarian, whereas Russell Brand is this kind of socialist, and he's ranting on about abolishing corporations, abolishing private capital, and things like that. So they have different ideas, but they're both quite naive, I think.
But he's in the government, though. I mean, when you're in the government, you're complicit. You're part of it. You can't become a mechanic and not get your hands dirty. So it's the same deal with the government. Once you start working for the government, you're going to be up to shenanigans. You're going to be up to fucking shady bullshit. And if you're working in the government and you're faced with shady bullshit, and you don't immediately quit your fucking job and leave the government, then you're complicit.
Yeah, you turn into shady bullshit yourself. That's the problem. Is the system designed almost to bring in people, genuine people, and turn them into what?
Well, that's what happens, man. That's what happens. Good, honest people get involved, and then they get wrapped in shady, dark, nasty, evil fucking shit, and they either become part of it, or they're like, you know what, fuck this, I'm out of here, and they quit.
I mean, the thing is, a good example of that is what's the name of that guy who was he used to be the Home Secretary under Blair. What was his name? The blind guy.
He was blind.
I forgot his name. But anyway, in 1983, he actually led an anti-government rebellion. He was actually the mayor of Sheffield. And he led a rebellion against the government. He was in the Labour Party then. And he was very, very genuine and extremely sort of like passionate. And he turns, he's unbelievable. 25 years later, he's the most authoritarian Home Secretary this country's probably had this in the 20th century or 21st century.
Something
and
happened.
He's bringing in more and more. I mean, he's working on for Blair.
Sure.
David Blunkett, that's him.
Yeah, shit
that's an
happens to
idea.
people. They change.
The system. Yeah, the system's designed to attract people in. Everyone goes in there thinking they can change things using the system, and they can get inside the system, and I'll make it work for me, man. I'll make it work for me because I'm genuine. But they underestimate the power that it has.
The reverse always happens.
I wanted to go back to this clip here real quick about Russell Brand. What do you guys make of him being in the march or being there? Ben made a comment like he's almost posing like a poser.
What's a good photo up?
Yeah, it did look a bit like he was sort of like the center of attention. He was grinning, and there's people around him. And I do think there was a lot of ego about that man, enormous amount of ego. And what he does is about feeding that ego.
That's what it seems like.
I'm not saying he doesn't have genuine sentiments as well, but definitely he's motivated by ego. Definitely.
I mean, do you think he's there really trying to promote change, or just to get publicity for himself, or just a mixture of both? Probably
change.
Mixture of both.
Change.
He is change.
He wants change.
Somebody is using him for their own program to change.
Exactly.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Now we're getting on track. Now I really don't want to make this episode a sequel to last week's episode, but we can touch on it briefly. I've thought about this in the past 2 weeks since his Paxman interview and all that stuff, and I keep thinking like, well, if the mainstream media is either producing absolute bullshit or heavy spin, why would Russell Brand be allowed to come on the television and speak the things he said if he was not a part of it and being disingenuous? And I don't think he was. I think he was being honest and truthful and speaking from his heart. But to echo what Trevor just said, I also believe that he is being manipulated and used for some unseen reason. And there you have it.
There you have it.
So let's move on. Let's move away from Russell Brand. And let's talk about today.
I can't stop thinking about him. His beautiful hair.
No. You're teasing us now. You're really teasing us.
Every time I try to get out, they pull me back in. Today is Remembrance Sunday in the UK, where everyone wears poppies on their little lapels, and they all remember the millions of people that were slaughtered in 1918. And tomorrow in the U.S. is Veterans Day, where people remember the other millions of people who were slaughtered in various wars that the United States got involved in. And I want to get everyone's take on this whole remembrance deal. And is it kind of, do people remember these events with disgust because of the massive bloodshed and horrific deaths and murders that took place? Or do they look back with pride and dignity? Sorry to paraphrase you, Ben, for a second. But they look back in pride and honor and respect.
Sadly, it's the latter. It's very much the latter. It's the way it's certainly done in this country. We have the same thing. We have today's Remembrance Sunday in England. We call it. On Monday, that's tomorrow. It's the 11th of November. It's the second Sunday of every November in Britain is Remembrance Sunday. The 11th of November, we have what you will call Veterans Day. We call it Armistice Day, and again, it's the way it's celebrated. I don't object to people remembering those who die in war. I object to the way they're remembered. And they're remembered as heroes who have given the ultimate sacrifice for king and country. And there's no one ever questions the sort of like the validity of what they did, the validity of the wars that were fought. That's never ever under discussion. It's assumed that they were fought for a noble cause, and that these people died for something decent and honourable.
Right.
Where in fact, my own view is that these people were essentially murdered.
Yeah.
By a con trick played by rich old men in elite organisations and governments. And for me, that's a terrible crime. It's a terrible tragedy. It's not something to glorify and to glamorise.
So
I don't wear a poppy. I won't wear a damn poppy.
No.
There's so much more I could say, but I mean, I'll give you an example. Just let me give you an example of something that really, really shook me up. In 2005, it was the 60th anniversary of D-Day, and this was just a few days after the London bombings on the 7th of July. The Queen was in Buckingham Palace. There was a huge crowd in the Mall, big celebration ceremony, and an original Lancaster bomber flew over Buckingham Palace and the Mall. This is a weapons platform that was designed to drop bombs to kill millions of innocent people in Germany during the World War II. And it dropped 1 million poppy leaves, these million poppy leaves symbolising the million British and Commonwealth casualties of World War II. And it rained, as these poppy leaves fell down onto the Buckingham Palace and the Mall, it suddenly struck me, it looks like a rain of blood.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And then I suddenly realised that's what it is. It's a rain of blood in effigy. And then the camera turned on the Queen, and she was sort of like grinning and dancing around like this. I can't find this clip anywhere on YouTube, incidentally. And I thought to myself, my God, she's enjoying it. She understands.
She loves it.
Of all the people there, understand what it means.
I bet she was upset that it was just poppy leaves and not real blood.
I think so, Gareth. I think she was. I think we look at what it is essentially. this redness, this redness of the poppies is nothing to do with poppies. It comes from this stupid poem that was written by a Canadian, John McCrae, about poppies in flowers.
Hey, don't talk shit about Canadians, eh?
Sorry, Trevor. Yeah,
it's okay, man.
I think it's blood. I think what we're looking at is it's the mass sacrifice of millions of young men. Almost an entire generation of males wiped out.
Yeah, absolutely. It's terrible.
I mean, there's no families in Britain, including my own, who've not had relatives who served in World War One, who fought, and many families have lost somebody. Yeah. I think it was not one single member of the regular British Army survived that war. Not one single member of the.
You know what I found interesting about what you just said there, Ben, was that broadcast on television were images of the Queen moving all around, like super hopped up and happy as these red leaves fell, or petals rather, fell down like a red rain of blood pouring everywhere.
Listeners, if any listeners can find this clip for me.
Well, that's the thing, Ben, is like this was broadcast, and now every fucking thing shows up on YouTube, dude. Everything, everything you can. Why isn't this clip out there? What's up with that? That's very strange, don't you think?
Extremely, and it was very, very disturbing. A very disturbing thing to watch.
Very strange. And I say,
it amazes me what clips can get pulled.
Right? Yeah. And I'm amazed. I mean, I said a few minutes ago, I bet she was upset that it wasn't real blood, but I kind of fucking believe that she has experienced the whole real blood deal.
Sorry, my mic was me. Yeah, I reckon. I think. It's quite. You can get it. There's a DVD of it.
Oh, there is. Okay.
Whether it will include that clip, I don't know.
Oh, right. Okay.
Whether it will include that clip, I'm not sure. But you can get it on DVD. It's quite cheap. I might actually get hold of one just to see if it's in there.
Just see if it's available.
Yeah, I really would too.
Yeah, interesting. It's amazing that this isn't available though on YouTube or something.
I've looked several times over the years to try and find it, and I can't see it anywhere.
Well, I have a clip here, and we mentioned Russell Brand a few minutes. Here we go.
You just can't escape him,
and that's the way he likes it.
I can't escape him, mate. I can't escape him.
Is anyone talking about me today?
Yeah. And Paxman was on Graham Norton the other day. The talk show host in the UK, who's actually pretty popular over here. His show is shown on BBC America over here. And Paxman started talking some shit about David Cameron. And I want to play this clip and then get everyone's take on it. So have a listen to this.
And 100 years, I mean, it's a short, in history, it's a short length of time. But obviously, as you say, in personal memory, it's a long space of time. And in terms of marking the centenary, I know the BBC are doing a lot. You're doing a series.
Yeah, it's a television series that goes with it next year, yes.
But I heard you were quite critical of comments David Cameron made about the centenary.
Yeah, I'm quite troubled because when David Cameron was talking about how millions of pounds were going to be spent marking this anniversary, he compared it with the celebrations for the Diamond Jubilee. And therefore people get the idea that somehow this is going to be celebrated. Well, look, only a complete idiot would celebrate such a calamity. There are 750,000 men never came back to this country. Millions of men served, millions of men were wounded, mentally and physically. No one would celebrate that. It was just Cameron's clumsy use of language.
See, he gave himself a way out there at the end. You notice that?
He said that he made a good point, actually. He really, really did. I mean,
he made a great point.
Yeah, and I think I'm really, really surprised because Paxman doesn't normally express opinions of his own. He tends to express opinions that differ from those he's interviewing.
Right. And this I think this is definitely some kind of outcropping from his recent encounter with Brand. Don't you think? That he kind of feels like maybe I can say some shit now.
Yeah.
Maybe I can say some stuff.
It shook him up a little bit. You never know.
You never know. But it was interesting how he said that, though. He basically said, Cameron's a fucking idiot. Let's be honest. The guy's a fucking moron. But at the end, he kind of backs out a little bit and says, well, it's just his clumsy use of words.
Why do you think he did that?
Well, I mean, of course, he's on TV. He's got to backpedal a little bit. You can't. Everyone seems to forget this. Everyone forgets this. You cannot go on television and be honest. Okay? Whenever somebody appears on television, they are never, let me repeat that, never being honest and truthful. Ever.
They don't last long if they are.
Exactly. The minute you go on TV and tell it like it is and speak the truth, guess what?
You're gone.
You will never be on television again. Right? So you have to be a bullshit artist. You cannot be on. I mean, you can kind of cover it up with humor and maybe make fun here and there, or backpedal here, backpedal there, but you can never be brutally honest on television.
Except for
Ever.
Alex Jones.
Well, Alex Jones isn't on television.
But he got his spot. He got his on, what was that? Piers Morgan.
Right. And what happens? And how does most people view Alex Jones?
Has he been back? No.
No, he hasn't been back. And he'll come back when they need to get some fucking monkey boy retard on there to spout his bullshit. Mm-hmm. But not to say that. I mean, I'm not anti Alex Jones. Not even close. But he comes off as a mental case. Right? So when the average person watches television and sees him on television and they see him speaking the truth, they immediately think, well, this guy's obviously mentally ill. There's something fucking wrong with this dude.
The BBC set him up. They had him on the politics show with Andrew Neil, and he did one of his rants on there. And the thing is, you can't. Maybe Alex just doesn't understand that British television is very different from American TV, and he ended up looking like a fool. And I think that was intentional. I think he was set up.
And but it's not that different though, Ben. Over here, he looks like a fool too. Over here, when he appears, and his appearances are very, very rare, but when they do happen, he comes off as a raving fucking lunatic.
A conspiracy theorist.
And Alex Jones is you talk about he doesn't tell the truth. He is a complete fucking liar too, because he was caught calling David Icke a piece of turd floating in a punch bowl.
Right.
And then you watch interviews with him going, David Icke, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
No, but you're missing the point there, Trevor. I mean, what you're saying is correct, but there's a 15-year difference in between those two comments.
No, there wasn't.
No,
there's about an 8 month.
No. He said the Icke shit in a punch bowl in 1998.
No, he said it with a recent interview with Jesse Ventura.
He repeated that? Because I remember seeing that.
Yes,
I remember him seeing that on television.
I just watched it 2 weeks ago, and he said he's a piece of turd floating in a punch bowl. Don't trust anything David Icke says. And then Jesse Ventura goes in and interviews David Icke, and it was the shittiest interview ever. But but then within a 2-year period, let's see. I think Alex Jones is a nutcase. Anyways, he doesn't do any good for gun advocates. He damages that more than helps it. But anyways, that's my little 2 cents.
Well, you got me thinking about that, dude. Because I don't know. I haven't heard that. Maybe you're absolutely correct and I'm wrong. But
unless I went through a time. No, I just watched. It was the latest interview that Jesse did with David Icke. Just before that, he went in and he was saying to Alex Jones, "Hey, what's your take on this guy?" And he said, "Don't trust David Icke. He's a piece of turd." But then, but someone made a clip of what Alex Jones has said about David Icke within the recent 2 years, and he said, "Oh, this guy's basically."
See, I don't know whether that's accurate, dude. I don't know whether. I mean, it might be, but I don't. Somehow, I don't think it is, because the turd in a punch bowl deal. He said that in 1998 on John Ronson's documentary, "The Lizards and the Jews." And David Icke since then has been on Alex Jones's show on multiple occasions, most recently in July of this year during the Bilderberg conference where they interviewed. Yeah. And Alex Jones has effectively changed his mind on David Icke. Now, that's not to say that he agrees with everything David says, because he does not. The whole lizard thing and all that, Jones thinks that's nonsense. But as far as the hierarchical power structure, the elites, the satanic ritual, all that stuff, he is now on board. He has changed his mind.
Oh, okay. I just this is just what I watched because we were talking about.
So I don't know. I mean, maybe you're. I have not seen that clip, and not recently.
Actually, I sent the video to Alec. I can send you the video.
Send it to me.
Yeah.
I think this is it. I think I've got it here.
I was like, what a hypocrite! He's being a jerk to David Icke.
Let me have a look at this.
Kind of keeps. But maybe you're right. Maybe it's in context of. I know that Jesse Ventura, the main thrust to his interview with David Icke was, how explain to me how I can see a reptile.
I know that David fell out very badly with Jesse Ventura and turned against him after that, because he was putting all kinds of things on his headline saying Jesse Ventura is a fool, Jesse Ventura is being used by the media, etc., etc. But I've put a little clip. I think that's I've put Alex Jones, Jesse Ventura
this is from
thing.
2011.
I don't
know. Well, we'll put that in the back burner then. I don't know whether that's accurate or not. It might be. I don't know. But the information.
My thing is, I wonder if Alex is legit. You know, he kind of says one thing, and I don't know. I don't like the guy, anyways.
See, it's very difficult for me because we all do that, right? I mean, you know, when you go to work, you act one way. When you're at home, you act another way. When you go with your friends, you act another way. We're all multiple personalities in different situations, right? So when Alex Jones gets a camera pointed on him, he acts a certain way. Right? And when that camera is on, when he's at home, you know, hanging out with his wife and kids, he's not saying, "No, 9/11 is an inside job. Hand me the salad, would you, honey?" You know, it's like, do you know what I mean? He's not being like that at home.
I get that. That's true.
You know,
I try so hard
right?
to say things in front of my family too.
But you know what I mean? It's like everyone is different. Everyone wears masks, right? Depending on your situation, you put on a mask. You act a certain way with certain people. No one is 100% themselves in every situation, right? So you got to figure that too, and look at these people on television, or not just on television, but in general, as one-dimensional characters. They're multiple, right? You know what I mean?
They are, but at their core, I see someone like Alex Jones. I don't like him.
Okay.
I think he's kind of a nut bar. And
he certainly comes off that way. I would agree.
Yeah.
He comes off as a fucking raving lunatic.
Well, I could say the same thing about this holiday that I want to bring back up, the Veterans Day thing.
Yeah.
Here we had the Veterans Day. So you have these politicians on TV,
right,
talking about, you know, remember they sacrificed their lives.
Sure,
and I think, going back to what you asked the question on, then I think it's the pride and dignity aspect that they go at.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not
yeah.
We can't prevent this from happening.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I agree.
We got to stop the bloodshed. No more wars. No, it's more about let's remember them. And then the families are the same way. It's like they go along with it. And it's sad they had to lose people, but are the politicians also? I mean, they're the ones creating the wars.
Yeah.
So how can you go on TV and say this?
I mean, at the moment, it's absolutely true, Joe. At the moment, there's a man, a member of the Royal Marines, has just been prosecuted. He's just been convicted of murdering a prisoner in Afghanistan, and he's got life imprisonment. And the British state have court-martialed him and given him this sentence, which I think is very, very strange, seeing as it's the British state, the government that is part of this plan to wipe out millions of people in that part of the world, drive a pipeline through their villages and kill them all. So I think it's quite hypocritical of the government to actually prosecute this guy, personally.
Yeah.
And this is a good point, but you see Cameron standing outside by the cenotaph with his head bowed, going, with a big poppy on him, and things like that. And Cameron's the one who bloody kills them. along with many of his predecessors, and of course the Queen.
Yeah,
she lays the wreath. She lays a blood red wreath on the stone marking these commemorations of the people her family have sent to their deaths.
Yeah. For
what purpose? Power, not for freedom, not for democracy and liberty, but because it's business.
And the whole
business.
vibe has been, and it's the same thing here. That's exactly. I'm glad you brought that up, because if you question this or talk about this, it's disrespectful, and it's not being disrespectful. Yeah. It's just
exactly
pointing out the hypocrisy here.
Yeah,
people got angry with me. I know people who got angry with me for saying at the hospital who got angry with me for saying what I just said to you.
Yeah.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean too, Ben. By the hospital. Because here in Canada we have Remembrance Day, and that's tomorrow. And goddamn, I'm not going to be able to watch my Price is Right because fucking the whole TV is going to be caked up with. Now, tomorrow, there's no sense to even turn on the TV unless you want to watch a Remembrance Day parade in Canada. It's everything's shut down in Canada. Well, government's shut down. You know, if you work at a non-government agent, you still got to go to work, but. Or if you are government, tomorrow you'll make double time and a half. So
nice.
There's issues with these government stat holidays. But here in Canada, like it's just you're just like I remember when high school, you're just here's your poppy. You walk into the auditorium and here's your poppy. Everyone's putting poppies on, and it's propaganda. And in Canada, they wheel out. I think we still have one guy alive from World War I. He might have. And they wheel everybody out from every war, and they even started the Korean veterans a few years ago because they're just running out of veterans, and these old guys up there with the big metal things on their chest, and my thing, I used to get angry, but now I start thinking I feel bad for these guys. They were lied to, and the bodies are stacked up to the sky, and the echoes of these souls are screaming to us, going, "Why?" It's like. They're lied to. Like I don't know how I would like to see the next war. Like I'd like to see Canada went into Afghanistan or Iraq too. That's there's a few thousand Canadians there. What I'd like to see are people to go no more. The guns are down. We're not going over there. I just
Why aren't they?
Stop fighting. Because that's the thing. There's so much propaganda. It's nobility. They're veterans. Yeah. You're doing your duty. You're protecting the babies in Canada or whoever. I don't wear a red poppy.
This is
sport. Hello.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, hello.
Now I try to promote a white poppy. Not so much on board with it, but I just like to go against the grain anyways. To give a different view on this stuff. We shouldn't be toting November 11th as a day to remember and honor the people who've died for my freedom, so I can speak this way.
I hear
that a lot.
Yeah. This is the really bad. What you said about the honor and the bravery and the heroism, and it's all false. And one of the worst things about the war, it was especially bad in the First World War, was that anyone who refused to fight or opposed the war in any way was denounced. They were called a coward and a pacifist.
Yeah.
It didn't matter the reason behind it. It didn't matter why they'd chosen not to get involved or to oppose it. It could have been because they were trying to expose the fact that the Bank of England was funding both sides, and the bankers in Britain were making a fortune off both sides. No, it doesn't matter. You were denounced as a coward. The only reason you didn't want to fight was because you were scared, and there could be no other reason in people's eyes. And the War Office actually used to actually have a policy. They used to give people white feathers, and they used to recruit very, very pretty girls to go up to their doorstep, and they used to bring a big crowd, mob, to surround the person's house, and they used to get the prettiest girl they could to go up and give this man a white feather. And it would
show that he's a coward.
It's psychological torture. That's what it was.
You're absolutely right. I back that up 100%. I've watched documentaries where pretty women, guys were made to feel like you'll never get married and have kids, and
they know where to hit us where it hurts. They know they can. That's our vulnerable spot. You see.
But the reality is, these people who stand up against the grain and say, "No, I'm not going to go," they're the real heroes. They have more guts and more courage than the imbecile who just goes with the flow. When you think about it, right? When everyone in your community, everyone is just blindly going to war, and you're like, "No, I'm not going to go." and people are calling you a coward. They're spitting in your face. You have to stand up and live with that because of your principles. That means, to me, you're being very courageous. You're showing courage, fortitude, honesty, truthful, whereas the other guys are like, oh, fuck, I don't want to go. I really don't. I really don't give a shit about the war. I'm not into this. I don't want to go. But I will because everyone else is, and it's kind of expected of me. That's a coward. That is a coward.
Exactly. And look what will happen to me if I don't. I'll get one of these white feathers.
Right.
And I can't bear the shame of that.
Exactly. That's a coward, not the guy who stands up and says, fuck that, I'm not going. He's the hero. He's the one with the courage. The guy who just blindly goes along like some fucking little sheep. That's the coward.
And then a lot of people do want to go because they're so brainwashed into thinking that's what they have to do to be a hero.
I wouldn't say a lot, Joe. Not
a lot, but
I would say
I've
some.
seen stories where
absolutely,
hey,
of course. There are definitely.
I'm re-enlisting. I'm going to be a hero.
Well,
right, but they're in the minority.
What if he owns a bake shop? He's not going to get any business anymore. So you kind of you have to cave under the pressure and go, fine, I'll go over to Germany and pick up a rifle, or I'll support them if I'm, maybe you're an older guy, and I'll support them.
Yeah, you have.
I'm glad we're talking about this too, about veterans too, because I heard another story too about you talk about shops and stuff, right, and making money, and now they're talking about we got to hire veterans. All these companies like Starbucks and all these companies are getting on board with this. It's like propaganda as well. It's just we're going to hire these veterans.
Why? Why do they have to hire veterans?
Because they're having a hard time finding jobs when they come back from the war.
What are their skills? Killing people. I mean, what else are they going to do? I mean, let's be honest.
I thought about that, Gareth. Okay, so what about these commercials when you see to sign up for the military? Oh, you can travel the world and become a doctor.
It's a goof. It's a scam.
So how are they having a hard time finding a job when they get out then?
Because here's what happens, okay? When you join the military, right, you either got to make it a lifelong career or forget it. Because if you go in for the 6 years or 4 years, you're wasting your fucking time. Because if you do your 6-year tour or whatever, when you finish and you get out and you go back into real life, it's like the next fucking day. It's like 6 years of your life have just been flushed down the fucking toilet.
You can get your degree and everything in the military. Please. And I even heard a story of a lawyer. He was a prosecutor.
It's fucking nonsense. It's a goof. People are getting degrees in legitimate colleges and working the fucking drive-through. So what's it going to be like getting a degree through the military?
Because you're a veteran,
they're going to laugh in your face, please.
It's different when you're a veteran, though. They look at it differently.
Yeah.
And do you think they want to go into these wars and come back home just to work at Starbucks?
Well, what other choice they got?
Well, why do they go there to get all the training in the military?
To kill people?
But they're not just being trained to kill people.
Sure,
I mean, they're learning trades and different things like that. Too. When they get out, they use them.
Name me a trade that they learn.
Engineer, a doctor, or things like that.
So you learn to be an engineer in the military, right?
Or you can be all kinds of stuff, medical,
right? Medical. All right. So you learn to be let's just focus on the engineering thing. So you learn to be an engineer in the military, right? What are you engineering exactly? What's your focus?
Well, there's all kinds. It's a broad field, I know.
Right, but
there's all kinds of stuff.
But it's basically to engineer ways how to blow the fuck out of people.
But you know what I'm talking about. You've seen the Air Force and the Navy commercials, right? In particular, it's always those.
Let me just look at your resume here. Oh, you were in the Corps of Engineers for 8 years. That's very impressive. What kind of machinery did you work on? I worked on an AR-51 launcher. I worked on a tank with the missile, the shells, and the blowing shit up. I know how to disarm a fucking nuclear. Well, dude, we're hiring someone to work a fucking assembly line, putting together iPads. What the fuck are you? Get out of here!
And then Ben can speak to that too, right? About the medical. I'm sure you have seen many people come from the military work at the hospital.
Of course, dude. If you want to get into medical school, or you're not going to join the military. Come on, please. I mean, people become doctors so they can make tons of fucking cash, not because they want to heal people.
It's funny, because I mean, this brings up an important point. Why is there this separation between the military and everyone else? Why is it that people who in the military or have been in the military, they have special names. They call them veterans. They call them ex-services, ex-forces. And there's this ridiculous word, which I don't know where it comes from, civilian. If you think about it, it's a ludicrous word.
Yeah, a little concept.
It describes people as in a single group who what unifying characteristics do these people that come under the label of civilian have? The answer is they've never done a particular job.
Yeah.
Well, right. So they're all the same. They're over here, the military over here. Why is there this separation?
Well,
why is it
civilian? Being a civilian basically means is that you're not a trained murderer. That's pretty much what it means. It's like you're either trained to kill or destroy, or you're not. Right?
It's one of the. It's a no-brainer, isn't it? It's a no-brainer.
So if you're a civilian, well then, so you've received zero training on how to kill people.
You know what it comes down to? I think it comes down to Dr. Lawrence. Have you ever read Dr. Lawrence Britt's The 14 Signs of Fascism?
No, I have not.
It's a very interesting document because one of them, I think it's number 8, is supremacy of the military. Even in times of domestic austerity, the military has exorbitant funding. Soldiers and military service are glamorized and glorified.
Yeah.
And that's certainly what we have. I call it the military religion.
Well, yeah, it is glamour, be all that you can be, with honor, with trust. You could, and it's like, dude, you're a trained thug. You are trained. I mean, you could be trained in a million different things, but ultimately, the organization that you work for and work in open and close quotes is designed to destroy and to kill. Bottom line.
To defend your country. You see, they all keep saying defend your country. Well,
from what?
What about in Australia?
Who are we defending about? Who's defending?
What are the major conflicts that Australia?
The fucking Klingons are invading. Forces? I mean, who's defending here? Defending what?
Well, this is a good point because in Australia they have Anzac Day, right, and which is like Armistice Day and Remembrance Day. But what the Anzacs? I mean, what forces have the Anzacs ever actually defended Australia from anything? Because the major conflicts of the Australian forces and New Zealand forces have been one. The First World War, which was in Europe, mostly in Europe, British Imperial War. Second, Vietnam, the American War. The Australian Armed Forces, have they ever had to fight a war to actually defend Australia? That's the question.
Didn't Mel Gibson make a nice movie about the Light Brigade or something?
I suppose when the Japanese were getting close, that's the only time when the bloody Japanese were coming close. That's the only time they've ever fought. They've lost all those guys fighting. It's absolutely absurd. They go out there and they're killed, and then they get killed, and they get maimed. They lose their legs, and there's this horrible.
If the perception of the military changed,
this horrible sugary. Ritual that's you have to put up with every damn year. And in Britain, we've got the bloody Armed Forces Day, which is in August sometimes. You can't even get it. They've got a bloody third day in Britain.
Well, they have to do. They have to glamorize and make this stuff look awesome because the military-industrial complex needs this to keep going. There's a lot of people at the top of the pyramid making vast sums of money over this. And we can't interrupt that. Fuck no, of course not.
It also traumatizes the population. I mean, the First World War basically destroyed, spiritually and psychologically destroyed an entire generation of men. And of course, everyone else who was left, the women who lost their menfolk, the mothers who lost their sons. It traumatized beyond belief. It's almost like everyone passed through an eye of the needle. The whole Western world passed through the eye of a needle in those few years. And they came out the other side completely transformed. And completely
do you guys think though there's hope for more people like us to be thinking and discussing this around the world, going, this is bullshit, I'm not fighting for any more politicians? Do you think is there a change? So. Is it changing?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No,
well, look at the.
I think there's more of it because there's a proliferation of communication via the internet, but the internet is rapidly going to be locked down.
Yeah,
it's not. I mean, it is going to happen. There's no ifs or buts. It's just a when, right? It will happen. When, I don't know. Might be tomorrow. Might be 10 years from now. I don't know, but it will happen.
So it'll just be like you won't be able to communicate with anyone outside the U.S.
Well, you will.
Like,
of course, you will be able to communicate, but the way things, it's going to be structured in such a way where certain topics and certain ideas are going to be severely looked down upon and frowned upon to the level where this is going to it's our the things that we talk about and the things that we discuss. It's going to be akin to being a homosexual in the 1940s.
Oh yeah, okay.
Well,
I see the parallel.
Right,
that's our challenge, isn't it?
That's the way it's going to be. All right, 20 years from now, the things that we discuss is going to be looked down upon in that way. I mean, if you were a little light in the loafers in the 50s, you were on the down low. Let's be honest, right? You kept it all under fucking lock and key. You said shit to nobody. You had a fake wife. The whole deal, right? Because society looked at you like the shit on the bottom of somebody's shoe.
And now it's accepted.
Now it's accepted. But for us, that's what we're going to be 20 years from now.
Well, hopefully not, Gareth. And we've got to try. This is our challenge. We have to break through that. We have to counter that. We have to tell the truth in the face of all the propaganda, and hopefully the truth will win out. And I think it will.
Well, we can hope, Ben. We can hope. I mean, I hope you're right on this one. I really do, because the future doesn't look that great for people like us.
Me too.
All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back in a few moments. And smoke 'em if you got 'em.
Mindset Daily.
Mindset Daily, hosted by Joe Dunn, a twice weekly and sometimes daily wrap-up on the current news of the strange. Every episode will highlight and comment on news stories that have either not made it into the mainstream or just grabbed our attention. Mindset Daily, your bite-sized alternate news fix. You can listen to Mindset Daily at mindsetcentral.com.
Mindset Daily. You're listening to the Mindset Network.
You can now hear all of the Mindset Central podcasts while on the go with the Stitcher Smart Radio app. On-demand news, talk, and more on your mobile phone. The latest episodes at Mindset Central are always available for you. No syncing needed and no memory or storage wasted. Available on your iPhone, iPad, Android phones, and beyond. Downloading is easy. Go to Stitcher.com or check out your app store. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to MindsetCentral.com.
There's no easy way for me to say this today. This is gonna hurt you more than it hurts me. This is gonna start to seem like you're taking it for the team, taking the hit for the sake of dopamine. It's just another barricade to cannonball out the way.
are back. Mindset Podcast. You're listening to episode 172 of the Mindset Podcast on We Are Back. That was Heifervescent and Try Again. Tell us about these guys, Joe.
What a great tune, man. Played them a while back on Mindset Radio Hour, which you can get episodes there at mindsetcentral.com. But this band, I believe, is from the UK. And they have a recent album out. It's called, get this, Wake Up Sheepyhead.
Nice. Very cool.
If you can get online, check them out. We'll have the link in the show notes to this band. It's heifervescent.com.
Yeah, great tune. I like that.
Yeah, I liked it. Actually, the song title is Try Again, and it got me thinking about Trevor's comment just as before we went in the break. He was talking about, is there any hope? We're all like, I don't know. I don't think so, whatever, But if you listen to that song, it's just keep trying day by day. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, never give up, never surrender. Keep going forward. Don't even though the future does not look that bright for people of our ilk, we should basically just look at the future and say fuck you.
Yeah.
And keep going regardless. All right, let's see what else we got going on here in the news. I want to bring up the Plaza Mall shooter. This dude in New Jersey running around with a gun, acting all crazy. I have a clip here. This happened this week on the week of November 5th, where another mall shooter. What are the fucking odds? So let me go ahead and play that, and then we'll get everyone's comment on this latest shoot 'em up that recently happened. So here we go.
We are learning more about what happened at the giant shopping mall in New Jersey when another young man with a weapon walked in and sent people running for their lives. Miraculously, no one was hurt. And here it is, the Garden State Plaza Mall. Last night, teeming with shoppers. Tonight, the long stretch of shops down the dark road, empty, closed down by police, a crime scene. And once again, we are left asking why. Tonight, you will hear from the gunman's family and friends. ABC's Gio Benitez starts us off.
Terror and confusion at one of the nation's biggest malls just minutes before closing time. 9:19 p.m. Shoppers at the Garden State Plaza Mall in Paramus, New Jersey, making their final buys when they saw a figure right out of the movies.
Just dressed in all black and just walking with a shotgun in his hand.
Investigators say that man was 20-year-old Rich Shoup, carrying a gun he stole from his brother. He walked out in front of the Nordstrom department store and started firing into the air. Chaos as 1,000 shoppers and employees ran for cover, police evacuating hundreds.
As soon as I came upstairs, the mall security guy was just screaming at me to get out.
By 10:30, 500 SWAT team members were going door to door looking for that shooter. It took them 6 hours to find his body. Shoup had shot himself in a secluded part of the massive mall. Last night, police descending on the house he shared with his parents. His father seen here with his hands up. Today, Shoup's brother Kevin speaking out.
My brother intended to harm nobody else but himself. He just sadly decided to make an act of, I guess, self-indulgence by taking his own life publicly.
Police say Shoup was a drug user, heroin, and the club drug Molly. And now we're learning he may have made a cry for help, texting his best friend's girlfriend just 3 hours before he went to that mall.
Because in so many ways, you were perhaps the last person to speak with him.
Yeah. And I just really wish that I would have answered him. I just really do, because I really think that maybe this could have gone differently. So.
She read to us a string of bizarre text messages that she says Shoup sent her yesterday.
I'm either going to go away for a long time, die, or make a run for it. Cops have been watching my house for the past 4 days now. I only have maybe one more day before they come for me. And then the last message I got from him was yesterday at 6, and it said, sorry.
And the friends tell me Shoup had been paranoid and quiet for several weeks. The problem tonight, Diane, that some of those friends tell me they just ignored that paranoia.
So they weren't clear warning signs to family or friend?
They say so.
All right, Gio Benitez reporting live from the scene tonight. Thank you.
Interesting stuff. The thing that really got my attention here in this little news clip was his apparent cry for help, where he texted his best friend's girlfriend before he went out into the mall with the rifle. I mean, luckily, nobody was hurt. No innocent bystander was injured or killed, which is a definite good thing. But it's interesting that he says that the cops have been watching me for 4 days now. I found that very, very telling. And Joe messaged me earlier on this week with some statistics, which to me are not only staggering and horrific, but also very telling. For me, this is evidence that something is afoot here. Joe, why don't you give us the stats that you have in regard to these multiple lone gunmen running around with guns, shooting innocent people?
Well, there's been a lot of mass shootings. I mean, it seems like it's become part of the norm now. And I heard a story, and it talked about since, 2012, just within a year, 11 mass shootings. So what does that tell you?
Well, I want everyone to think about that for a second. So
11.
Joe has pulled up some stats that since 2012, here in the United States, there has been 11 mass shootings, whether that be at schools or places of business or military or whatever. Lone gunmen running around with automatic weapons, indiscriminately shooting innocent people. 11 in the past year, maybe a little over a year. Let's just say 2 years. What the hell? Let's just say in 2 years, this amount of murder has been going on. And I want everyone to think about that for a second. That many mass shootings in that short space of time, what are the fucking odds? Think about it. Now, if these mass shootings were all completely unrelated and completely random, and it was just some fucking maniac retard who got some crazy-ass thought into his head and ran out with a gun and started doing crazy bullshit, completely on his own, no outside influence, these things would still happen. But they'd be like one incident every fucking 10 years or some shit. The fact that we've had 11 of these in the space of, 18 months, maybe a year, tells me that something is going on here, that there is some outside influence at play here, because there is no fucking way these are all completely random and unrelated. 11 in
just
a year.
Over a year.
I mean, think about that. What are the fucking odds?
And 85 people dead total.
How many, before this happened, right, if you go back in time, how far do you have to go back in time before you get 11 of these mass shootings in the United States? I reckon you'd probably have to go back to 1960 or something.
Probably before
11.
that. Probably back to like the 50s or the 40s.
Yeah, now I know not all of these cases are genuine. We know there's problems with the Sandy Hook case. But obviously some of them are, but whether they are or not, I mean, it's those that are, obviously you have people talking about how they hear voices in their heads, like they've been involved in some kind of psychological program.
Right.
I mean, this cannot be coincidence.
There's no way.
Cannot.
There's no way.
Even the most hardened skeptic must be thinking, is this really coincidence? Can it be? No.
How is
surely
it
not.
possible? There's no way. What are the fucking odds? There's no way. 11. You know? It makes zero sense to me.
So on this case here, what got me thinking, Gareth, was why would he go to the mall just to shoot himself there?
Well,
I think something went wrong. I think
he wanted to go pick up some new shoes, and while he was at it, he thought, you know what? I'll blow my fucking brains out.
And then you said we learned that he was being watched, and he sent this message.
Well, he
before he went.
Well, we don't. He claims to being watched, right? He says the cops have been watching me, been following me for 4 days now.
And what did the Navy Yard shooter say?
Well,
wasn't the same kind of thing?
Exactly. Very, very similar things. So, I mean, the way this is going to be presented to the public is obviously these guys are paranoid fucking maniacs who are hallucinating nonsense. But to the likes of us, that kind of tells us that something is going on here.
And he didn't shoot anybody in the mall, right?
Well, I think he tried to. I think he definitely tried to shoot some people, but he was not successful.
I just don't. I find that kind of bizarre. How do you miss people with that kind of gun in a mall and with a lot of people?
Yeah, I hear you. But luckily, nobody was.
Well, not that I'm
hurt.
saying. Yeah, luckily there wasn't. But
yeah, nobody was hurt. So Trevor, what's your take on all this stuff?
Well, I'd like to take this nice and slow here.
All right.
First of all, I my heart goes out to people like this. If someone phoned me or texted me and said, I've got a gun, I'm going into the bank right now, I'm going to blow, I hope to God I would do something. I think it's a failure on friends and family to not recognize the signs and not to help them in the moment. So on that note, that's where I feel on that. Anything like that happens, I think, why is there a lack of love and empathy to help your friends and family when they're telling you, look, I got a gun and I'm going to blow away 12 people? Well, it seems like people are kind of always just kidding. It's like, no, they're not kidding. Like we have to be helping our friends and family, and why are we not? So that's an issue that I have right there. My next issue, what's the correlation in these 11 shooters? It seems like, I think about that woman who rammed her car saying Obama wanted to have something to do. It seems like there's an anti-government theme here.
Right.
The police are following me. Now, what are a lot of it's an LVA movement, Libertarian Volunteerist Anarchist movement, talking about anti-government. So when you have guys going, the police are following me, I see the government and media is painting a picture of people like me who go, look, because I can tell you right now, in the year 2013, police have killed 600 people in the United States. To me, that's a mass shooting murder. That's a statistic
compared to 85 here.
Yeah, like that's a statistic that only people that I know that bring that out. So I'm looking at this as media is trying to paint people who have. There's a big organization in the States called copblock.org, and you go to their website and they point out things like this, like, hey, police have shot and killed. I think it's 495 dogs in the United States. I mean, that's insane too. Like you hear cases of like that, but they don't get brought out in the mainstream media. But cases like this, where this guy's like, the police have been following me for 4 days, or that woman who drove the car into the barrier, like Obama was saying something to me, or all these mass shootings. It seems that the theme is the paranoia about some kind of government agency. So, and it paints the libertarians in a bad way. The mass majority of people now look at us like, oh, you people are freaks. You're paranoid. We got to lock you up. Throw away the key.
Well, it paints the picture that these are paranoid, insane people, right? And some of them might actually be, but they might actually be telling the truth when they say, "Oh yeah, I'm being followed, I'm being targeted by microwave weapons, I'm hearing voices," and now for the average person hearing someone saying that, they immediately think, "All right, this guy's a fucking mental case. He's out of his mind," when in fact, what they're saying might be very, very accurate.
Exactly, but the media is painting them to be delusional.
Sure.
Punks that
this guy,
need to be dealt with.
He texted and said, you know what, the cops have been following me for the past 4 days, right? Now, when somebody watches that news clip and they hear that, they think, oh, well, obviously the guy's paranoid, he's crazy, he's imagining things. But he might not be. He might have been followed.
I mean, do you remember that guy who shot at a senator or a congresswoman? And
in Arizona,
it turned out later on he listened to Alex Jones.
Yes, yeah.
What was his name?
Top of my head, I don't remember, but it was.
He made a big thing about how he was listening to the Alex Jones show, and he went out and shot this woman, and she almost died. I mean, she was shot in the head. Right. She survived, but she's brain damaged.
Yeah, she pulled through. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. And you were going to say, Ben?
I think a common theme is these people are, they try to dig up all the dirt. Oh, they're anti-government. Well,
Well, here's the thing that gets
mentally ill.
They're mentally ill. They're crazy. Here's the thing, though, right? If you bring up to, if you just, just a random friend, family member who's not into this stuff, just a random, open quotes, normal, close quotes person, who's just, they're just a working Joe. They're going to work, they're feeding the family, they watch the sports, they drink a couple of beers on the weekend. They're just normal, regular people. If you bring up the subject and or topic of mind control to these people, what's the first thing they're going to think?
No,
You're a lunatic.
I'm not mind controlled. Yeah, I'm not mind controlled.
They're going to think
crazy.
They're going to think that you are fucking out of your mind. That you are a lunatic, right? Mind control. What do you? There's no fucking. What's the man? Mind control? What the fuck is wrong with you?
There could have been mind control involved.
Right? They think you're a lunatic. There's no mind control. It's all nonsense. You're out of your mind. But the crazy fact is that if you dig into it and you do a little bit of fucking research, if you crack open a fucking book and read a sentence, you find out very quickly that mind control is 100% real.
They're doing stuff now.
It's not fantasy. It's not nonsense. It's a fucking fact. It is real. But the public perception of mind control is that, number one, it doesn't exist, and number two, it's nonsense and the ramblings of a nut job. Am I wrong here? I mean, help me out here.
No.
Completely right.
That's true.
Completely right.
So what are the odds that some, maybe not all, but some, a sizable percentage of these poor bastards running around with rifles blowing people away have been the result of mind control experiments?
Yeah, and that's been brought up before. And when you do mention it, like you said, you get the look, and that's nonsense. But in reality, they're working on stuff now. DARPA has all kinds of investments going in this technology. They were able to have a guy hooked to two people. One guy was able to control another person on through a computer chip. His brain control.
What do you think, Ben? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's what it is. We had that guy in Washington Navy Yard. He said it himself, didn't he? Yeah. They're beaming me things at me. And again, because of the giggle factor, which is basically what we were talking about, where people laugh at you for even suggesting it. It's a fact of the matter is that the government has had mind control programs, MK Ultra, for example, which they apparently cancelled. Was it 1960 something? They cancelled. They stopped the program, but it's still going on today. I've absolutely no doubt it's still going on today. We have this prevalence of serial killers as well. Connections with not only shooters but serial killers are connected with these government mind control programs. And the truth of the matter is, until we get over that, until people get over the giggle factor, people are aware of what's going on, then it's going to carry on, and we could get 11 more shootings by next Christmas.
Right. No, I agree.
I just want to add something to that. I mean, Remembrance Day, that's just a mass mind control thing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there are things, like you talk about advertising, billboards, that's mind control. And that's just the simplest way of mind control. Then you do have these MK Ultra programs that are ultra intense to get certain people. I mean,
if you define it.
A couple people, but yet, like billboard advertising, Remembrance Day, the television, that's just a massive
mind control.
Like mind control on a very basic level.
Let me give you guys.
You explain that to people.
Let me give you a great example.
Your Budweiser beer commercial. That is just.
Let me give you a great example of mind control at a very basic, simplistic level. Now, here in the United States, you might not be able to reference this, but in Canada and in the UK, you will totally understand what I'm about to say. When you have a talk show, like we mentioned Graham Norton show, or any kind of chat show, talk show, where it's kind of lighthearted. You don't get into serious issues. You're talking maybe entertainment, whatever, and you get celebrities to come on and tout their bullshit about whatever movie or music or whatever nonsense they're promoting. I'm going to focus on the UK because that's where I can relate, but I think Trevor will be able to tune into this also. In the weeks leading up to Remembrance Sunday, when they have guests on these talk shows, the guests will invariably show up wearing a poppy. Right?
Bingo.
Right?
Yes.
Now, I want you to think about this, too. Now, they'll have guests on from other countries. Let's just say, we'll use Graham Norton again. The Graham Norton show, they have an American movie star that shows up. I don't know, Tom Cruise, Arnold Schwarzenegger, whoever. They show up on this show in the weeks leading up to Remembrance Sunday. When they show up on this talk show to blab about whatever nonsense they're promoting, they're wearing a poppy.
Bingo.
Why
Bingo.
Why is that?
Gareth, I just want to tell everyone, last night my wife and I watched Hockey Night in Canada, Saturday night. Everything's hockey here. And I said, did you notice like Don Cherry and all the interviewers always wear a poppy? Everybody comes on the show they're interviewing. Everybody's wearing a poppy. So you're right. It's huge. I was watching any show you see in Canada. A few weeks leading up to it, it doesn't matter. Your local newscaster, they all have poppies on. So as soon as you're talking about that, Gareth, and I'm thinking, oh my God, he's going to say what I've been talking about, and thinking about. Like last night was just huge.
But even people who don't have the faintest fucking idea what the poppy signifies or what it is, when they go on the talk show, they're told by their assistant or their handler or their publicity guy, "Hey, put this on your lapel."
Yeah,
and they're like, "Why am I just put it on?" Because
it's sad. Everyone on the British television, every single person, I've not seen anyone not wearing it. What you said, Trevor, is absolutely right. And you know, there's one guy who refused. One guy, who used to do Channel 4 News, and that's a newsreader called Jon Snow. He's not a newsreader anymore. I don't know what he's doing now, but he refused to wear a poppy on TV screens.
And I bet he got shit for it too.
Well, it's funny. I bet he did. I mean, he did get a lot of some nasty things written about him in the papers and things like that. And
now you say you don't know what he's doing. Like, I mean, he's probably sitting in a bedroom apartment going, "I should have put that fucking pop."
Yeah, I know.
Well, it's interesting what happened. Well, it's interesting what happened to him because I mean, he has also reported that he was approached by somebody. Didn't say who this person didn't say who they were, but it's pretty obvious that they work for the intelligence services. And this guy offered Jon Snow £50,000. He offered basically a doubling his salary, which it was when he was approached. This was in the 1980s. If he, in cash, tax-free, if he would promote certain ideas while he was on TV, when he was broadcasting. And it's pretty obvious that it was an attempted recruitment by the intelligence agencies. And I wonder how many of them said yes. Jon Snow, to his credit, said no.
I mean, dude, money talks, dude. I mean, if
everybody
someone,
has a price.
Oh, if someone comes to you and says, "You know what, I'm going to give you X amount of cash if you say this or you don't say this," 90+% of people are going to be like, "Fuck yeah."
Well, I mean, this is the point. What about Jeremy Paxman, Gavin Esler? We were talking about Jeremy Paxman just now. Was he made the same offer and he said yes?
Yeah,
that's the question. But I mean, Trevor made an important point actually, because it's all about when you say mind control, how do you define it? Is it a Manchurian candidate with a gun who's a complete robot, or is it just someone who sees a billboard for Budweiser?
It's all of the above.
Yeah, in that case, the question is not how many people in the world are mind controlled, but how few are not.
Ben, you're absolutely correct. That's exactly right. I mean, to varying degrees, we all are, right? We all are mind control, but to varying degrees. And the thing is that most people are even unaware of the concept, let alone that they are mind controlled. They don't even think about it. The concept, the idea of mind control is so foreign to them that they can't even comprehend it.
If they can't realize that that they're part of it.
Right. Exactly. So yeah. So there you go. So put your poppies on. And
I got mine on today.
So I noticed you don't wear them in the U.S. You don't have poppies.
No one over here. If the conversation that we just had, our American listeners are thinking, what the fuck's a poppy?
Oh, everybody. I go to work and oh my God, just everybody's got one on, and I'm just waiting for people to go, where's your poppy, man? I'm gonna be like, fuck. It's
Trevor, do people and also Ben, if you out and about and you're not wearing a poppy, will people bust your balls over that or what?
Luckily not in this country. I mean, in maybe it's different in Canada, but I know in Australia apparently it's a very, very big thing. Anzacs, the poppy and everything. In Britain, I noticed a lot of, despite all those people on TV wearing poppies, which is virtually it's everyone I've seen. You go about and it's probably about maybe a third I've seen wearing poppies, a third of people, and no one has a go at you for not wearing one in Britain.
Well, that's good. How about in Canada?
Well, here's a news
that's
story.
Progress. There's progress there.
Canada's very violent, I guess. Here's a news story that just happened in Canada. A woman stole, you go to like a 7-Eleven or a corner stores, and they put out these little containers, and you can buy a poppy. You put a quarter in or whatever. On the news here, and it was all over the news, lamestream news. A woman stole that little box and ran out the store. Well, they caught her, and she got like $20 or something, but she's like, hey, I haven't worked, I'm poor, and I need some money, and it was easy to just grab this box and run. But I tell you, she was demonized as she was just an awful person. How could you steal? That's veterans. Oh my God. And the tears from people. I'm thinking, I mean, what she did was wrong, but if she went in and just asked the cashier for the money,
well, I mean,
that doesn't make the news. That doesn't make the news.
Let's put it
in that way, because I mean, this happened. I was just going to say, let's put that in perspective. Okay, now Trevor's absolutely correct. What she did was wrong, no question. But she stole like what, $20? And
it's like dimes and quarters.
People are on TV fucking vilifying her and crying. Whereas you got these bankers stealing billions of dollars. And everyone's patting them on the back and giving them fucking handshakes.
Yeah, and you know what, Trevor? I bet you this happened in Britain. We had exactly the same thing. Someone stole some money from the Royal British Legion. They stole a collection box. And exactly the same. It was all over the news how awful this person was for stealing from the Royal British Legion. It's money that could go to veterans, like you say. But you know what? I bet people nick charity tins from Oxfam. They nick them from Age Concern. They nick them from the Salvation Army. They nick them from cancer research. I bet charity boxes get swiped all the time. Sure. But it doesn't get into the news until it is Remembrance. Until it is this is what I mean by the military religion. This is what I mean by everything we've been talking about how soldiers and military service.
You're absolutely correct, Ben. Because if that chick in fucking Canada had stolen that box, right? Exact same box. The box could even look the same, but the sticker on the box said National Cancer Fund. Would that have made the news? No.
Not unless it was April.
It wouldn't have
National Cancer Month.
It wouldn't have made the news, right? If it was cancer, breast cancer awareness. Oh, she steals the box. Would that made the news? Fuck no. But because it's a bunch of fucking maniacs in fucking uniforms with rifles. End of the fucking world.
Hang her.
Yeah, it was. So not wearing a poppy in Canada, it's I might,
taboo.
I mean, oh my God, I go walk out on the street with a Guy Fawkes mask and no poppy. Holy shit, I'm going to be beaten with hockey sticks. Get him, eh? He's got goddamn mask on and boom, boom.
But you could countermand that, Trevor, if you handed out beer.
Oh yeah, you give a Canadian a cold beer. Well, it's so cold here; it's always cold. So yeah, the beer and some bacon. A beer, eh?
You'll be good to go.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking of bacon right now.
Stop it, please! This is worse than the sunny weather you were talking about.
All right, let's change gears a little bit here, and we'll start to wrap up the show. We'll get on to our final story here. This kind of it's a kind of a non-story, but it's very interesting to me because this week I think it was on the 5th, or maybe the 6th. There was a meteor shower that happened in L.A. And because we have a lot of listeners and a lot of listeners know that I'm in L.A., I was getting emails and messages and Twitters and tweets. Gareth, is everything okay? Did you see the meteor? Did you see this? And there was like this fake image that was floating around the internet of this massive, huge fireball coming down on L.A., and I have to admit, I started getting these emails and these messages, and I went outside and looked, and it was like, nothing. Nothing going on. I was like, what the fuck are these people talking about? There's no meteor. What the hell is fucking going on here? This is crazy. But it wasn't until a day or so later when I did a search on the news, and apparently there was a meteor. So I pulled a clip. So here it is.
A lot of people are asking, did you see it? Did you see it? There was a streak of light across the evening sky last night. It was a meteor visible from Santa Barbara all the way to Mexico. Eyewitness News reporter Darsha Phillips talked to an expert at JPL and joins us now live. Darsha.
Philip, yes, experts do believe this was a meteor. It wasn't a UFO. It wasn't Philip Palmer flying around in his gladiator suit. This was a meteor. And according to experts, it wasn't very big. Meteors this size often enter Earth's atmosphere every couple of days, but they don't burn as bright as this one. A fast-moving, bright streak of light captured here on a viewer's dashboard camera had many who saw it wondering what it was.
And I'm just watching it. It was coming like in slow motion. It was about as big as, I would say, about a cantaloupe. But it was perfectly round, all blue, and just the very tip of it was a big long teardrop, but humongous.
Boom, it was across the sky. It was as bright as could be, and then it went out.
The fireball flashes twice and then disappears.
A suspicious light and something sparked in the sky on the Ortega.
Local residents flooded 911 centers and took to social media describing the mysterious light. According to experts, this most likely was a meteor.
A rock from space that was burning up in the Earth's atmosphere, and it got pretty bright. You saw the videos, so it was pretty impressive.
Scientists believe that the meteor may be associated with the south towards meteor shower, which the Earth is currently passing through. And this sighting is timely, coming just as scientists are studying the meteor shower over Russia last winter. They concluded that the threat of space rocks hitting Earth is bigger than previously thought. But experts say it's not something people should be too worried about.
Now, if you're talking about the really big ones that killed off the dinosaurs, we haven't changed our opinion on that. They are very infrequent, once every 60 million years or so. So that is not something to lose sleep over.
Now, there is a chance you may see more meteors. The south towards meteor shower is expected to be active through mid-November. Live at JPL, I'm Darsha Phillips, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
So the one that killed out the dinosaurs, the big meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs, was once every 60 million years ago. Oh, wait a second. When did the dinosaurs die? 60 million years ago? So that means we're due one about fucking now?
Yeah,
well, they're not like trains. They're not like trains or buses. You know, they don't come on regular intervals.
Oh, they don't?
No. And what's more, there are fewer of these big ones left now because they keep. You know, in the early solar system, they were constantly flying around, but more and more of them have crashed into the big planets, and so there are fewer of the big ones left now.
Well, you're being very rational and scientific, Ben. What's up with that? Come on, dude. Where's Ben? What have you done with him?
Well, there has been an actually increased amount of these strikes.
Oh, well, that's odd, yeah. I mean, there's some strange things going on, because that Chelyabinsk object wasn't predicted by the monitors, because I do a regular space weather report on my Critical Mass radio show, so I keep an eye on the sort of asteroids and comets around the place. So,
and there was one that was coming from the sun that we couldn't even see because it was coming from that direction. And
that's you had a possibility.
They can't put
and there are
sunglasses
big
on?
ones out there. They have to be spotted though decades ahead of time.
Yeah.
Before we can do anything.
So I don't know, dude. I mean, the way this was presented on the interwebs, on the internet, was a little staggering to me. There was this stupid fake picture that was floating around that was emailed to me half a dozen times. And Trevor was one of these people that emailed me this picture, and it was like, I was like, where's this picture coming from? Because it was obviously fake. And I remember I went outside and had a look, and obviously it's fucking crickets, right? Because whatever happened. I mean, it happened in seconds. You know, so Trevor, what was your take on this? What happened? How did you find about this?
I was concerned, Gareth. I thought, no, you know what? Because, like I say, my newsfeed got hammered with this, and I thought, well.
Yeah.
I just sent you the picture, and I thought, I don't know, is this real? Like, did you? I was just curious. I thought, oh, maybe something meteor came across the sky. I wasn't sure how big or whatnot, but oh shit, I got a cough. So yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know the picture was fake or anything. It was the best kind of picture I had of what happened. So I just my first initial thought was immediately I go, oh, I know someone in that place, so let's see
what's going on. Right. Yeah, but you know what? And this really got me thinking, because I've noticed in the past couple of months that there's been a drastic increase in the number of bullshit stories that are floating around. And it's kind of staggering to me that a lot of people buy it immediately. Like, there's a story floating around right now that I discovered the other day that people are posting everywhere, that Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to run for president in 2016.
He wants to.
Have you guys seen this story?
They'd have to change the law, though, because there's a constitutional rule about who can be president. You have to be born in the United States. What they might do is because he is from Austria originally. He came to the United States when he was 11 years old. But I'm sure they can get around that.
Yeah, there was a story floating around. I think we even talked about on Mindset Live a few weeks ago, and he was going to try to change the law. But yeah, whether it's true or not.
Well, they've had things like Ronald Reagan was an actor and he was president. I mean, publicity. What I've found is in America that show business.
Yeah, but he was a citizen.
No, but here's the thing, though, guys. This story is absolutely not true, right? In other words, there is no corresponding data to make this story real.
It might be one day.
Well, it very well might be. But as of today, it's nonsense. He's not running for president. He hasn't made any announcements that he's running for president. But there are several alternate news websites that are publishing interviews with Arnold Schwarzenegger saying, yes, I'm going to run for president, which is nonsense. It's a complete fabrication.
Well, maybe the skeptics have put this out on purpose to just try and make it, because they do this sometimes, the skeptics. They put out fake stuff just to see how many people go for it so they can have a good laugh at us and say, look how gullible these conspiracy theorists are. Right. Look at them. Ha, ha, ha.
What was fake about this meteor shower picture? I haven't seen it yet.
Well, the picture is...
So nothing hit then, Gareth?
Well, no. I mean, I'm still here.
No, I didn't know if it was a big one or... Well, I'm sure if it was big enough, I would have heard about it, but I didn't.
The image that was floating around gives the impression that in any second, L.A. is going to cease to exist, okay? The image looked like that there was this massive, huge fireball that was going to come down and just wipe out everyone. And I mean, I have an eye and nose for this stuff. When I look at an image, I can tell within 30 seconds whether or not it's legit. And when I saw this image, I'm like, this is obvious nonsense. And it was.
I think I see it right here.
I mean,
the one I emailed you, I didn't know. I thought maybe it was just a very bright. I didn't know about size or
This thing is
like
bright.
It looks like it's end of the world
like
any
the
second,
sun.
right? Yeah. So, but, it is
so
what
something
it is.
a small meteorite did go over though, right?
Right. Yes.
But it was just played. It was played up as I thought. Holy.
Well, not on.
Did LA like half of it just get destroyed? Or
Right.
I'm like, hopefully not the half Garrison because I like Garrison.
Here's the thing.
Hollywood. I know.
Here's the thing, though, Trevor, is that the mainstream news didn't play it up the way. I mean, on the internet, it really seemed like LA is about to be wiped out.
Yeah.
But on the mainstream news, it was like, oh yeah, there was a meteor. And
that's odd.
And here's
that's
the sport.
The opposite of what you would think.
I know. But that's the thing. It's like it was played off on the internet like the end of the world is any second. But on the news, it was like, oh yeah, there was a meteor, and here's the sport. Weird. All right, guys, we've reached that
I'm glad
moment.
you're okay, Gareth.
I know. Me too. I wasn't
You're not gonna fly out there
vaporized.
and put a bomb inside like Bruce Willis.
Oh, right. Yeah, I know. Yeah, we'll do like Armageddon. Or rather, Armageddon, the LA Marathon.
Now, there could be a movie coming out. Watch for a movie because a lot of times this hype comes from...
This could be a publicity stunt. You never know. All right, and guys, I think we've reached the end of our time together. Thank you so much for coming on and discussing these great topics. I really, really appreciate it. Another great show in the can. Well, let's see where everyone can be discovered. Let's start with Joe. Joe, where can people find you on the internet?
Well, find me on youtube.com/FL Trailblazer. I'll have videos up there of that ghost town area I was talking about at the beginning of the show. So go check that out. And also on MindsetCentralCourse.com.
Of course. So we got a Mindset Live coming out tomorrow, which was recorded live on Friday. We record it live on Friday, then we publish the MP3 on Monday. So if you missed the live broadcast on Friday, check it out tomorrow. It was a good show, right, Joe?
Yeah, that was an awesome show. I had a lot of fun.
Very
Some
good.
interesting stories, so look forward to that, folks.
Totally. Let's see. Trevor, where can you be found on the internet?
I'm very private. Don't find me anywhere.
He's hidden away.
Just you can.
Hello, Trevor? We lost Trevor. I can't believe it. Hello, Trevor, you there?
He's there. I think sometimes his mic goes in and out.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll come back to Trevor.
There
then.
he is.
Hello, Trevor.
Are you back?
Oh, okay. Yeah, just find me on Facebook if you want. That's
there you
fine.
go. Trevor Murray on Facebook, or the
Trevor Murray.
Bigfoot Survival. Bigfoot.
Yeah, I do have a eBay and a Facebook page called Bigfoot Mountain Survival Gear.
There you go. Awesome. And finally, Ben, Hospital Porter's Pride and Dignity, Brother Porter.
Stop the New World Order. Well said, Brother Porter. Yeah, Hospital Porters Against the New World Order, HPANWO, HPANWO, and that's my website, and there's lots of associated websites connected to that.
There you go. So check out Ben's stuff. Check out some of his videos. Some great stuff. And thank you all once again. We will be back next week with more topics, more discussion, and more media madness. But until then, farewell, good brothers.